When Highguard closed out the Game Awards, it immediately became one of the most talked about games of the night, and not entirely for the reasons its developers probably hoped. Within hours, the reveal trailer was heavily downvoted, social media turned skeptical, and the game was being labelled everything from generic to dead on arrival. But here's the thing, Highguard isn't even out yet. I'm your host Dan, and today I want to slow this conversation down and ask a more interesting question. Why did Highguard provoke this reaction, and what does it say about where multiplayer games are right now? At its core, Highguard is a free-to-play multiplayer shooter with hero-style characters, large maps, PvP combat, and a focus on mobility and spectacle. It's being developed by a new studio made up of veteran developers, many of whom previously worked on well-regarded shooters. That pedigree matters because it shaped expectations long before the trailer even dropped. Structurally, Highguard sits somewhere between a traditional hero shooter and a more open, objective-based multiplayer experience. There are abilities, team roles, and visual flair, but also an attempt to feel larger and more dynamic than standard arena shooters. On paper, there's nothing obviously broken or outrageous here, which makes the backlash more interesting. The reaction didn't unfold slowly, it was immediate. As the final reveal of the Game Awards, Highguard inherited an enormous amount of anticipation. Historically, that slot is reserved for something seismic, a long-awaited sequel, a genre-defining announcement, or a cultural moment. Instead, viewers got a new free-to-play shooter in a genre many already feel saturated. That contrast, not the game itself, is where things start to fracture. Expectation management is a huge part of modern game marketing, and Highguard is a textbook case of how it can go wrong. Between the studio's background and the prestige of the closing slot of the Game Awards, many viewers were subconsciously primed for something bigger, or at least more surprising. So when the trailer revealed a familiar genre, the reaction wasn't curiosity, it was disappointment. And disappointment online rarely stays quiet. This doesn't mean the trailer was misleading, it means the context around it amplified reactions far beyond what the content alone would have triggered. There's also a broader issue here, and it has nothing specifically to do with Highguard. A lot of players, myself and my co-hosts included, are experiencing live service fatigue. Over the last decade, multiplayer shooters have increasingly converged around similar structures: seasonal updates, battle passes, hero abilities, cosmetic economies, and long-term engagement loops. Even good games are being judged through the lens of exhaustion. So when Highguard appeared, many players weren't asking, "Is this fun?" They were asking, "Do I have room for another one of these in my life?" A large portion of the backlash has been shaped by recent multiplayer failures, such as Concord. Players have become quicker to draw comparisons, quicker to predict collapse, and quicker to disengage, sometimes before a game has had the chance to explain itself. That doesn't mean these concerns are invalid. It means the industry has trained its audience to be cautious, even cynical. In that environment, any new free-to-play shooter is starting from a defensive position. Is the criticism fair? On one hand, players are justified in being careful with their time, attention, and trust. On the other, declaring a game a failure based solely on a reveal trailer risks missing what actually matters: how it feels to play, how it's supported, and whether it meaningfully differentiates itself over time. Right now, the strongest criticism of Highguard isn't just that it looks bad, it's that it looks familiar. And familiarity isn't the same thing as failure. Highguard's controversy isn't entirely about Highguard itself. It's about expectation overload, genre fatigue, and a player base that's increasingly wary of promises it's heard before. The real question isn't whether Highguard will succeed or fail, it's whether modern multiplayer games are given the space to prove themselves at all. And that's something we don't know until people actually get their hands on it. I'm curious to what you guys think. Is Highguard being judged too early? Or is the reaction just a result of hard-earned caution? Is this game going to be Concord 2.0 and be completely dead on arrival? Let me know in the comments, and if you found this breakdown useful, consider subscribing for more gaming videos, and I'll see you in the next one.